You see this beautiful lot? With the prices of houses going up so high, people are turning to the idea of building on a piece of land. But is it really a good idea right now? Today we're going to be going over the best ways that you can find a piece of land and find the right piece of land to build on. And we're going to be talking about, is it really a good idea right now to buy a piece of land and try to build your own home? Whee! You may or may not remember this piece of land before. A client of mine, she purchased this with the intent of putting up a beautiful barndominium. You know those houses that look like barns, but they're like houses on the inside? They had the plans, they had the lender, they were able to sell their house, of course, lickety split. But here we are 9 months later. Not a thing has been done to the land. At the time, it really seemed like a great idea, but now they're running short on time because they want a house. You find yourself in a predicament and you do have this beautiful lot and you happen to have the utilities, but you have no house and you can't find a contractor to build you a house right now. You may actually want to consider buying a manufactured home. That's what happened with this couple here. Is it the ideal situation for you? No, but at least it gives you a temporary housing until you're able to get that house built. Some counties will have an allowance for you to have temporary housing like a manufactured home or even an RV for up to 2 years. You're going to have to check with your local county ordinance to see if they do allow for that, but it is an option to think about if you do have a piece of land and you need to find a house like right now. Just know if you're buying a manufactured home, don't buy one that you order, buy one that's on the lot itself. Because just like everything else in housing, it takes a long time for anything that's ordered to actually be delivered. If it's on the lot and you can purchase it and buy it and put it in your place right now, that's what you want to do. Don't order one. You're gonna be waiting months for that thing to be delivered. So here's some of the reasons why you probably are considering buying a piece of land. First of all, if you've been in this bidding war nightmare for the last 2 years, you're gonna find that land is a heck of a lot less competitive than it would be for a house itself. Not only that, if you're looking for a piece of land that's not in a subdivision, you're going to find that it's a lot less expensive than the lots that are in the subdivision. There are reasons for that. 1, they already has utilities. 2, they've already set up the HOA. 3, they've already put up the infrastructure. That's the reason why those lots cost a lot more, and they know that people are going to pay it. So now you're looking at this beautiful piece of land. It's a heck of a lot less money. You don't have a bunch of people knocking down the door to purchase it, and you're like, I can build my dream home here. Now, if you are considering buying a piece of land before you build your house, just know that if you're going to get a loan, that land loan that you get is going to be required that all the payments be done and paid for within 5 years. Not all land loans are constructed this way, but many are. The good thing is, though, if you do buy the piece of land that you buy for a good price and you pay for it in cash, that equity in the piece of land can be used for the down payment on the house that you decide to build in the future. Now, most experts will tell you to go ahead and try to buy the land cash first. Try not to go the loan route before you go ahead and build your house. A lot of cases that's not going to be possible. For a lot of you, that is going to be an option. You're cash heavy and you can go ahead and purchase that piece of land and then of course use that as a future down payment on the construction of your new house. There's probably 2 reasons why you're considering buying land. 1, either you want to buy a house and you can't find a house and so you're looking at pieces of land to build a house on. And the second reason you might be looking at raw land is because you've heard endless stories about people like Bill Gates and foreign investors purchasing up all America's farmland across the United States. I don't know necessarily how incredibly true that is. Of course, the rumor mills love to talk about these kinds of things, but is raw land a good investment right now if you were thinking about buying up a lot of raw land like, Mr. Bill Gates? According to an article from APXN Property, they say yes, it is a good idea. And here's the reasons why they say. Owning land gives you financial security and peace of mind. Experts recommend raw land investing and buying land for future development. Such housing or building, no maintenance required, and you can sell your land at a higher price in the future. I will say though, if you're looking to make bank on a piece of dirt, you're gonna have to hold on to that raw land for quite some time. And yes, it is true that if you have a piece of raw land that has tons of trees on it, you're not going to have the maintenance of it. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things you just set it and forget it investment. Of course, you're still going to have to pay your taxes every single year on that piece of land. And who knows how long you're actually going to have to wait for that piece of land to become your gold mine. Just make sure that the area that you're purchasing your land is an area that looks like it's up and coming in the future. Like look in the newspapers and see if any industries are going to that area or are they withdrawing from that area. Be smart about getting your investment in raw land. But if you have deep pockets and you're considering buying a piece of raw land and you're just looking for a place to dump your money, it's not a bad idea. Know that not all dirt is created equal. And speaking of dirt that's not all created equal, this is one of the things that has gotten people in a lot of trouble over the last year, because they find a piece of land and they think, oh, I'm going to be able to build whatever I want on it. Just here recently, we had a person, I'm not going to name their names, buy a big tract of land in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. They had the image and imagination and the wherewithal and the deep pockets to put up what they thought was going to be an Airbnb tiny home community. It was over 15 acres and they planned on putting over 30 tiny homes on it. They thought it was such a good deal. I mean, the prices were right. Well, first of all, they didn't investigate the piece of property itself. They went ahead and just purchased it blindly, not knowing that half of it was wetlands. The second thing, in the parish, which is a county here in Louisiana, they don't allow for homes that are less than 600 square feet. The tiny home plan that he had was for tiny homes that were about 300 square feet. And lastly, he never checked to see if there was going to be able to get utilities out to that piece of property itself. So he had made this investment. He had this great business plan, but he never checked the usage of the property itself. And he didn't check the local laws. Who does that? I'll give you a hint. An investor that's not from here. And before you go blaming the realtors, he bought this for sale by owner. So now he's trying to sell it. So just FYI, always do your investigations. Now, when you're looking for a piece of land to build your home, there's two things you should be looking for ahead of time. And think about this in your head. Do you want a piece of land that has restrictions that protect you against the neighbors that may not take care of their property the way that you would take care of your own? Or do you want a rural tract where your neighbors can do whatever they want and you can do whatever you want on your property, but within reason? Of course, there's going to be laws like you can't have nuclear waste that you dump into the local river. That's a big giant no-no. Now, if you're trying to determine this, I would do a pros and cons list. And if you found a piece of land that you really like and it happens to be in the HOA, ask for the restrictions ahead of time, because sometimes those restrictions are so old that they don't even pertain to the piece of property anymore. Like you can't have a horse-drawn carriage going through the piece of property. Like, how many people have those? You should see some of the old HOAs that we have here in Louisiana. Some of those covenants just do not pertain. But in other cases, you're going to see there's neighborhoods that have a very active board that may not be the kind of people that you necessarily want to live around. It seems like every board has some kind of negative Nancy's and people that are just a little bit too much in your business. Like this couple I've been following on TikTok.
Get out of the yard. Get out of our yard. I will be calling the police. Yes, it is. No, it does not.
This belongs to them. Right where that
Get out of our yard.
The neighbors absolutely can't stand them because they're building these container homes on the piece of property that they bought. But that would be a giant headache, in my opinion, to have to deal with neighbors that were constantly in your business. So before you go in and buy a piece of land, check with the neighbors. Somebody came and visited me. And do you know who that was? That was the neighbors. And that brings me to my next piece of advice. Whenever you're looking at a piece of land, ask the neighbors about it, because I know that I've said in previous videos that you could walk the property at different times, like when it's raining or it's sunny or when it's snowy, but as you know, properties go very quickly. So it's the best thing to do is to ask the neighbors, because they will tell you if a lot is about to flood. They'll tell you, in 2016, this whole entire area flooded over. Neighbors love to have the inside scoop, so get friendly with the neighbors if you're thinking about buying a land, because they'll even drive up to ask you what you're doing there. What are you doing on that dirt? That's not your dirt. See, they know. All right, you found your piece of land. The HOA is perfect. You think you're going to have this picturesque experience building your brand new house. Here is some things you need to be considering right now. The budget you accounted for right at this moment may look completely different by the time that everything's said and done. This is the case no matter what housing market we're in. The thing is, right now it's even worse because of the fact of we have supply chain issues. We have a labor shortage, and that labor shortage has been around since before the pandemic, so don't go in the comment section blaming the pandemic on that. When it came to construction, it's been an ongoing problem. The price of lumber has gone up exponentially. The price of cement is about to explode really soon, and the house that you budget to be built for, let's just say, $200,000. By the time everything's said and done, you might be spending $300,000. And you think I'm exaggerating? I'm not. It's been happening across the United States for the last 2 years because builders anticipated the price of the materials to cost X amount of dollars. And then by the time that everything was said and done and how much they had to pay in labor because it took 9 months longer than it would have normally to be built, they had to add that back to the price of the home. A lot of people had to walk away from the houses they had planned to purchase because the price increased that much. In my area, to purchase a piece of land has been just as hot of a market as the housing market has been here. Because I live in a small town, people have been selling their land to family members, which is really great. But other people have decided to do the for sale by owner route. And this is one of those things I want you to be very, very careful for. There are websites out there that have pieces of land for sale, but they actually don't own the piece of land itself. Before you decide to sign anything over the internet, find out if that piece of land itself is actually owned by the people selling it to you. They may say they have a title company that's taking care of the whole entire thing, but if it's in your local area, I want you to walk your happy little butt down to any title office, walk in and say, this is the piece of property I'm about to buy. Do these people own it? You may have to pay for a little bit of title work for them to research this, but is worth your weight in gold. I had just gotten an email from a subscriber talking about how she purchased a piece of land that she had done the whole entire thing over the internet. She had a notary that came to her office and she signed off on it, and she was just about to have a manufactured home delivered to this piece of land. She had a local surveyor come out to stake the piece of property, and that's when a neighbor came over and asked her, what is she doing? And she said, well, I just purchased this piece of land. He's like, that's my piece of land. You don't own that. And she's like, no, here, I have the deed. And he's like, that's not for my land. Now she's in this whole nightmare because she has this manufactured home that she's already purchased and she can't put it anywhere because the land wasn't even hers. So I'm just saying, be very careful, very, very careful on where you're purchasing your piece of land. Your safe bet is to work with a real estate agent. I know you don't want to work with a realtor. Not all of us are terrible, I promise. All right, we're going to go through super fast the quick checklist that you need if you're thinking about buying a piece of land. Ready? Start writing. Zoning and permits, special tax assessments, easements and deed restrictions, the property boundaries, well, water quality and flow, road and driveway maintenance, fire and ambulance services, electricity and high-speed internet options, the flood zone, surveys, property taxes, financing options, marketing valuations and inspections, and sales negotiations. So this is a really good checklist for you to bring with you whenever you're going to look at a piece of property to ask your real estate agent. In the MLS, a lot of times there's something called a plat map, and it just looks like a little diagram of the piece of property itself. It will show you the easements on there. It'll also tell you what the setbacks are in some cases. So always ask that real estate agent if there's a plat map on file with that specific piece of property. And then the next thing you want to ask your real estate agent is if they can help you get the permits that are going to be necessary to build the house that you need. Now, a lot of times when you're working with certain builders, they'll already know what permits they need to be pulled and they'll do them themselves. That's part of the package. But if you're going at this by yourself with a kit type of home and you're going to be building it yourself with your own specific contractors, you're kind of like acting as your own general contractor, you're going to want to get the help of your real estate agent to know exactly what permits you need. The permitting office in your local area is usually pretty helpful too. Just get friends with the lady behind the desk. And the more you're friends with those people, the better off they're going to be. So many people have asked me, right now, would you purchase a piece of land to build your house? If you're asking me personally, I would rather have dull-toothed hamsters chew out my eyeballs very slowly than to purchase a piece of land to wait for a house to be built. There's just too much going on in the real estate market. We have interest rates that are going crazy. We have supply chain issues that are going crazy. We have builders that are signing contracts and then never showing up to actually build the house or prepare the land. With manufactured homes, some of them have been waiting 18 to 20 months if you had one actually designed. 2 years ago, I was all in on purchasing a piece of land and building a home of your own. Now, investing in land, I'm all in. Like a raw piece of land, you don't have to take care of it. If I had a big bank of cash that I knew that in my area that I could buy a huge lot and sit on it for, a good 10 years, I totally do that. This area is growing like crazy. That would be a massive, big big investment for my future. But to build a house right now, nope. So now that you know all this, are you still considering purchasing a piece of land to put a house on? Or are you just gonna go with a pre-existing house that's sitting on the market right now? Let me know in the comments section below. I probably didn't answer every single question you have about purchasing land, but I have several other videos about buying land, and I'll probably answer those questions in these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.